carries. Okay. Call to order the meeting of the Verona Common Council for Monday, September 14th at 7:01 p.m. We'll begin with the roll.
Alderperson Cronin.
Present.
Alderperson Journey.
Here.
Alderperson Kemp.
Here.
Alderperson Cole.
Here.
Alderperson Posey.
Here.
Alderperson Ricky.
Here.
Alderperson Ryan.
Here.
Alderperson Touche.
Present.
Excellent. We have a full house. Next, we'll move on to item 3, which is public comments. Mr. Sayer, do we have anyone from the public to comment?
No, I had no one registered before the meeting, so there's no one tonight.
All right. With that, we will. Sorry, I'm just trying to go through my notes real quick. There we go. With that, we will move on to item 4, which is approval of minutes from the August 24th, 2020 Common Council meeting. Questions, comments, corrections, or motions?
Move approval.
Motion by Alder Cole. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Kemp. Last chance for corrections to the minutes. Seeing no hands. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the August 24th, 2020 Common Council meeting, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Next up, we have one item under Mayor's business, which is another citizen appointment to the Sustainability Task Force. I have a volunteer, Jeff. I don't actually know how to. I don't know how to say his last name because we've only communicated over email. But I'm Jeff Geist. He can email me a correction. But anyways, I think a key part of the Sustainability Task Force is going to be enthusiasm and the kind of willingness to get out and talk and educate the public. And so I love to see citizens in Verona kind of step forward and step up to the plate. So with that, I'd ask for a motion to approve his appointment to the Sustainability Task Force.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Ricky. All those in favor of approving the citizen appointment to the Sustainability Task Force, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the dog approves too. Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Next, we'll move on to item 6, announcements. Any announcements from the Common Council? Alder Ricky.
I just wanted to announce publicly that I've heard there's some concern about the East Side Interceptor sanitary sewer project that's upcoming along the Badger Mill Creek and parts of the Ice Age Trail, slated to begin in November. And I just wanted to reassure people that our Public Works Director, Theron Jacobson, is quite competent, and I have no doubt that he will shepherd that project carefully, and that I share concerns about preservation that some people voiced. And as a newly appointed member of the Sustainability Task Force that you just mentioned, and appointed a community member too, I'd also like to put a plug in for the city continuing to work closely with the Ice Age Trail staff in order to best preserve as many native trees and wetland area as possible throughout that project. And there will be a public meeting before the project begins and signs posted for any rerouting of roads that needs to take place or closed streets and things like that. So I just hope that eases any worries that people might have.
Thank you. Other announcements from the council? Seeing no other hands, we will move on to item 7, Administrator's Report. Mr. Sayer.
Thanks. I just had a few things tonight. There is a Tourism Commission meeting tomorrow afternoon. We'll have a Park and Rec Commission meeting this Wednesday. Finance Committee is meeting next Monday. It's probably going to be a significant meeting because all the budget presentations are over and we're in the process right now of trying to hammer out this budget. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to kind of tune into that. Board review will be September 29th. So we had open book last week. I have not heard back from Dean Peters yet, and I also haven't emailed him, but I still anticipate that we're going to have some appeals as part of that process. So as I hear more from Dean, we'll let the council know as we can. The free e-waste event, we typically have that each year. That has been canceled due to COVID. Quite honestly, it was too much of a risk for staff. They do take pieces of equipment directly out of the vehicles of people arriving there. and the exposure risk was too high. So we have canceled that. The police department will be hosting its annual prescription drug take-back event on October 24th. I don't have the time for that, but they'll have necessary kind of social distancing in place as part of that, and then PPE for the officers who are involved with that. So that will still occur at City Hall, and once we have that time, I'll pass that along to the council. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the council.
Any questions for Mr. Sayer? Seeing no hands, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 8, which is the engineer's report. Ms. Fisher.
Thank you. For the well 6 pumping station construction, asphalt paving has been completed. The contractor is continuing to work on miscellaneous electrical, HVAC, and finishing items. The gas service to the well house and the pad for the gas meter are in place. MG&E and the contractor are coordinating gas meter installation. Well startup is currently scheduled for September 24th, although that may be pushed back just a bit. For the Woods at Cathedral Point Phase 1, underground pipe work, that is sanitary sewer, water main, and storm sewer under the new streets is virtually complete. Mass grading for the main detention basin is complete. Storm pipe and water main in the vicinity of the intersection of County Highway M and Range Trail is on hold until telecommunication utility conflicts are resolved. For the Sugar Creek Commons Public Improvements Project, the project bid results are under review. Again, that's a project that consists of reconstructing a portion of West Verona Avenue from approximately 200 feet east of Todd Street and Legion Street from West Verona Avenue to Top Avenue. And that will include installing new utilities and updating the pavement in that area. For the major design projects, the East Side Interceptor design plans are complete and out for bid. Bid opening is scheduled for this week, September 17th. The construction permits have been issued by the DNR and other governing agencies. For the Lincoln Street Stormwater Facility design, final design is progressing on the pond design and modeling, pond embankment design and permitting, and corresponding hydraulic and water quality modeling. 60% plans are under review by the city, with permit applications to be submitted shortly thereafter. And a new project, the North Main Street Water Main Replacement Design. Field data collection has been completed for this project. Plans and specifications are scheduled for delivery, final delivery in winter of 2020 for bidding in early 2021. With that, I can take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on the engineer's report? Seeing no hands. And we will move on to item 9, committee reports. First up under 9A, we have the Finance Committee. Will Alder Cronin be handling this or Alder Kemp?
Alder Cronin will.
Okay, Alder Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $278,139.69.
Motion by Alder Cronin. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Posey. Alder Cronin.
By way of explanation, some of the larger expenditures this month include an almost $50,000 bond payment. There's a $27,000 payment for the school district road that will be billed back to the high school. And the rest of the larger payments are for easement payments, for interest, and for road projects.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments on the motion before the body? Seeing no hands. All those in favor of paying the bills in the amount specified, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Cronin.
I would like to make a motion to approve amendment to the agreement between All City Management Services Incorporated and the City of Verona providing school crossing guard services.
Motion by Alder Cronin. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Posey. Alder Cronin.
This would extend the agreement with the All City Management Services to provide crossing guard services for the City of Verona through December 2021. The agreement has been amended to include a cost savings to the city of almost $23,000, and it also includes an increase in hourly rate of pay for the crossing guards. The feedback that we've gotten from Chief Coughlin is that this system has been working really well. There have not been any issues with crossing guard posts being unpersoned, and they are happy to see this move forward in extension.
All right, motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no hands, all those in favor of approving the amendment to the agreement between All City Management Services, Inc. and the City of Verona providing school crossing guard services, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from finance?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to 9B, Public Safety and Welfare Committee. Alder Rieke.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 20-967, amending section 10-1-27 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Verona.
Motion by Alder Rieke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Cole. Alder Rieke.
This proposed ordinance amendment will prohibit on-street parking along Paoli Street, North and South Nine Mound Road, Stewart's Woods Road, West End Circle, and Wall Street due to the construction of the new high school. Additional no parking will be added along Lincoln Street in close proximity to the Military Ridge State Trail and near the intersection of Verona Avenue. Lastly, no parking has been added at the intersection of West Verona Avenue and South Marietta Street to improve sight distances for an existing crosswalk. Detailed exhibits can be seen online in the packet.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion before the body? Seeing no hands, all those in favor of ordinance number 20-967, amending section 10-1-27 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Verona as described in the packet, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from public safety?
Just the one item, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to 9C, Plan Commission. Alder Cole.
Thank you. First up is I am making a motion to approve resolution number R-20-034, approving a general development plan for 1,600 square foot building addition located at 517 Half Mile Road.
Motion by Alder Cole. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Posey. Alder Cole.
The proposed general development plan would allow for the construction of a 1,600 square foot addition to the Atkins Bicycle Shop located at 517 Half Mile Road. A zoning exemption would be granted as part of the GDP to reduce the rear yard setback to 10 feet inside of the 25 feet. The Plan Commission held the required public hearing on September 8, 2020, and voted 7-0 to recommend for the approval of the GDP with a rear yard setback exemption of 10 feet.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments on the motion? I'll just say I think it's a great project and I'm glad to see a Verona business doing well. Seeing no further discussions, all those in favor of resolution number R-20-034, approving a general development plan for a 1,600 square foot building addition located at 517 Half Mile Road. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Cole.
Thank you. Next up is just a discussion regarding a planned unit development concept plan review for a 3-story, 42-unit apartment building located at 1057 North Edge Trail. The applicant is proposing a planned unit development concept plan that would remove a portion of the existing retail building and construct a 3-story, 42-unit apartment building. The Plan Commission discussed the project on September 8, 2020. Comments from the Plan Commission included how would this qualify as a mixed-use development and possibly be exempt from the residential housing policy. This type of land use could work, but wanting more information showing connectivity, scale with surrounding land uses, and building renderings. Concern with lack of green space, mixed views as to whether this should be luxury apartments for 1 bedrooms or larger units with more bedrooms due to the proximity to schools. Were the existing tenants notified of this concept plan that it was before the Plan Commission? This is good infill development and could help the existing businesses in the area. Recognize that there are no access and parking issues for this type of land use in this location and could be a larger building due to the topography. The council is encouraged to provide feedback and recommendations to the applicant on the concept, suggestions on if the land use would be supported, and the potential height of the building. No formal motion is required as this is just the conceptual review of the project, but the applicant is trying to determine if the project can move forward.
Thank you for that explanation. Feedback from the council on this project. Alder Cronin.
Just a question. Is the portion of the building that is going to be removed currently occupied with retail tenants, or is it empty?
I believe there are some retail tenants, and my understanding is the landlords talked to some of the tenants, and that from the feedback he's gotten, none of the tenants are making long-term plans at the moment. He seems to be, use casual language, he seems to be a cool landlord. If landlords can be cool, that's a possibility. But he's been flexible with his tenants and, not demanding rent just because, the pandemic that's on.
Yes, I believe he has offered to move them to other spaces in like the adjacent building as well if they so desired. And yeah, he's been really good. He hasn't charged rent during the pandemic, so he's been really good to his tenants. But because of the pandemic, none of them really are making, they're all like month to month this time. They aren't making like signing full leases, so.
Right.
I did notice too that the street that this building faces is a private street. And I know in that area there are several other private streets that there have been issues with maintaining appropriate plowing in the winter. Do we know if we have an appropriate plan in place for plowing for a now residential building?
Mr. Sayer perhaps can take a crack at that.
Yeah, so I had a conversation with the owner about that, and that North Edge Trail all the way from cross country to at the street it hits in the north at Prairie something I know is private, and then I'm not sure which one it is, but there are a couple private streets in here. So when it hits Prairie Oaks, you're right, Mayor Diaz, that it is private from cross country to Prairie Oaks, and then Prairie Way Boulevard between North Edge Trail and Enterprise is also private. So I had a conversation with the owner, the developer, and the challenge is that North Edge Trail is actually owned by, in essence, an LLC that has 6 or 7 different parties to it. So Casey's fronts on that, the Monks fronts on that. There's a senior living facility north of here that also fronts on that. All those owners have partial ownership on this road. It's going to make it very challenging to try to dedicate this to public unless all those owners would agree to do that. So I guess response to your question is the plan is kind of status quo. We've had, of the private roads in this area, this is the one we haven't had that many problems with. The east-west one, Prairie Way Boulevard, that's the one we've had some more challenges with. That's a different owner than the owners who are currently owning this one. Is it private? Does that potentially create future issues since you'll have more people out there? Yes, it does. From a staff level, we don't have a good solution for it. We don't want to take this over just because it's not built to city standards. It'd be a significant cost to us. Trying to transfer it to the city would be very, very difficult because there's so many different owners involved. It would be a very long, convoluted process. So I don't have a good answer long term, except, we'll continue to kind of work with the issues there, but there's no good solution to this one long term.
Thank you.
Alder Ricky.
Oh, I was just wondering if the cost could eventually be passed on to the developer once it was time to resurface the road anyway. But I just thought of that as Adam was talking. What I really wanted to say initially was that I like fill-in development, especially where there's already existing land and or buildings that are already developed. And I just like to make sure that there's as little impervious surface added to this project as possible. So I really like the idea of the shared parking that I read about. And just because I'm always concerned about the environmental impact. So just taking that into account.
Other feedback from the council? I'll just throw in my own 2 cents, basically a rehash of what I said at the Plan Commission, but I think it's a good infill project. I think it's the kind of thing that will help consolidate some of the commercial retail. It could, help some of the retail around in the area, provide better locations for some of the retail rental that's there now, and provide some housing in the city. And it's, I know it's a little bit different than some of the family stuff we've been looking for, but my belief has always been we need a variety of housing in the city, and I wouldn't want to go all in on one kind. So I think, even 1 bedroom and studio apartments could be of benefit to the city. And like I said, I wish there was more green space there, but it was built out a long time ago. And there's not anything kind of right there, but there are some parks and trails nearby if people are up for walking. So I think, on the whole, I think it's a good infill project. Any other feedback on this project? Mr. Sayre, did we cover all the necessary bases on this one?
Yes, I think you did.
Great. Alder Cole.
Thank you. Next is another discussion regarding a planned unit development concept plan review for an 80-unit apartment building located at 121/125 Berkeley Road. The applicant is proposing a PUD concept plan that would remove 2 existing apartment buildings and construct an 80-unit apartment building. The Plan Commission discussed the project on September 8, 2020. Comments from the Plan Commission included, could the parking lot impervious area be reduced? Will the leases be honored for the existing tenants at their current price points? Support for the bicycle connection to the Military Ridge State Trail. Support for honoring the leases of these tenants and the tenants from the motel apartment building on East Verona Avenue. Encouraging additional landscaping on the property. Support for not having underground parking stalls to match the total number of apartment units due to walkability of the area, and the existing tenants not owning vehicles. And support for the 80 units. The council is requested to provide feedback and recommendations to the applicant on the concept, as well as if the reduction in underground parking requirement would be supported for this project. No formal motion is required, as this is the conceptual review of the project.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, and other kinds of feedback on this project? Alder Cronin.
Just a question on the parking. Just to make sure that there is appropriate parking for the building, because it is my understanding that tonight we just previously approved a great deal of no parking around that area, correct?
Mr. Sayre?
No, this is on Industrial and Berkeley Road. So no, the no parking is west and north of this along South Nine Mound.
So if there were to be on-street parking, that wasn't going to be an issue?
No, this is off of South Nine Mound, so this would not be an issue unless we, in the future, decide to change it.
Okay.
And the owner did state that the tenants there walk to their work and they don't even have vehicles, so he has yet to really see any problems with lack of parking in the parking lot. So that's why he doesn't think it'll be a problem going forward either.
Any feedback on this project? Alder Reedy.
Well, I just wondered if maybe Mr. Sayre could just explain why, like, it seems like there's a lot of apartment units coming to the agenda, and I've heard concern about that. So, and I know we have the policy limiting the number per year that can be added. So is it like a first come, first serve kind of basis, or just can you explain why we might or might not be able to approve some of these with or without exemptions.
Mr. Sayer?
Yeah, so regarding just why are there so many apartments coming here, one, demand in the city is very strong. Quite honestly, what the council and planning commission sees is probably only the tip of the iceberg of actually kind of what's kind of gets through staff. We get, it seems like on a weekly basis, we get a call for someone looking for land for apartments. We've seen a lot of senior housing as well too right now. It's pretty common as well, but nationwide, it's a trend. I mean, so I know Planning Commissioner Mike Hager kind of mentioned that at the Planning Commission meeting as well. It's a trend for a variety of reasons that, it's a bigger conversation than what we're talking about tonight. But if you go to pretty much any city around the country right now, there's a greater trend of people trending towards apartments. That's for financial reasons, that's for mobility reasons, that's for preference reasons as well. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but anywhere you look right now, the apartment demand everywhere is incredibly strong. So, kind of the why are we seeing so many? Everybody is. If you look at any community right now that has a reasonable population, you're gonna see that. We do have a residential phasing policy that's been in place since 2012. There are 3 exemptions to that policy. One exemption is mixed use housing. The second exemption is senior age restricted housing. And the third exemption is downtown redevelopment. The vast majority of the projects that we've seen over the last 3, 4, 5 years fall into one of those exemption categories. This one probably doesn't per se. It is tied to the project that's next on the agenda as well, which is the redevelopment on the part of the Hughes property on Verona Avenue. But this project by itself probably would not qualify for it. Now, in looking at this project, it's currently a site that has 2 apartment buildings on it. I believe it's 20 units. Those were built in the 1970s ish. So the owner is kind of faced with that dilemma of, with a property of that age, either putting significant improvements into the building to kind of upgrade it. That's 30, 40, 50 years of lifespan of that property, or looking at redeveloping it. And it's not an unreasonable proposition, I think, on this site to look at possibly redeveloping it, especially when we have Velocity nearby and we have the redevelopment occurring at the Sugar Creek School site. So this, from a purely policy standpoint, probably wouldn't, you'd have to give it some type of exemption from the policy. But the reality is most of the projects we've looked at for the last 3 or 4 years have been exempted from that policy. They meet one of the 3 criteria that are out there. So that's kind of what we have in place. It is a policy as well. So it's not a set ordinance that, we do have some discretion because it is a policy. We can choose how we apply that policy. Our goal with that policy is to revisit it as part of the comprehensive plan rewrite, hopefully happening in 2022 once the census data is done, just because by that time it'll be 10 years old. And I think from a staff level standpoint, we can do greater good on kind of where apartments are going by property planning for them versus either plopping them in the middle of neighborhoods, but trying to put them in locations that make sense from a traffic standpoint and mobility standpoint versus just trying to broadly kind of apply this policy. But the demand across the city, though, like I said, it's if you look at Madison, you look at Fitchburg, you look at Cottage Grove, Cross Plains, even some real small communities, you'll see apartments going up everywhere. It's just the trend nationwide.
Alder Cole.
I'd also like to say that one thing we did discuss too is that I feel like it's pretty commendable that the rents here tend to be more like a workforce kind of affordability rent price versus higher market rate. And the landlord said he has no interest essentially in raising that and making these unaffordable for his current tenants, and that he's planning on keeping the same rents even in the new apartments. And when he's locating people from the motel property over here, keeping their rent prices as well. So I think that's pretty commendable when we are looking at trying to, get more and, retain workforce housing in the city. I think that was, I think it was really great of him to do that.
Yeah, and if I could add one thing, I mean, there's currently apartments already there. The buildings are old. It doesn't necessarily mean they're bad, but like as was alluded to earlier, there is kind of a life cycle to buildings, and most buildings do not last forever. So it's great to see, in my opinion, someone investing in the community and making their buildings nice. So I think there's value in that. Any other questions or comments or other types of feedback on this item? Mr. Zaire?
One item that staff was looking for specifically, if there's any comments on it, is typically we require 1 underground parking space per unit. This is a project that they would not have that as part of, and that's partially because of kind of just the size and scale and trying to keep the cost down from a rent standpoint. And I just wasn't sure if the council had any comments on that, because typically we'd see that 1-to-1 underground ratio. So if anyone has any thoughts on that, we'd appreciate it.
Any thoughts on that item? Alder Cole?
I'm okay with keeping it as is, since he did state that most people, or a lot of people there walk, and he's never really seen an issue with parking. I don't think it's necessary to add something that would add to the cost of people's rent prices if he doesn't think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, and I guess if I could just echo that, I mean, I feel like the applicant made a strong case that they won't need the additional parking, and then of course it's a situation where costs get passed along. If we, hold them to the underground parking, the units will cost more. And I feel like these are kind of, I guess I would say, naturally workforce housing without, any public intervention. I think there's a lot of value in that too, to having things established in the free market. But any other feedback either on what Mr. Sayre said or on the project in general? Everyone ready to talk about Dunkin' Donuts? Is that what everyone's saving it for? Last chance for feedback. All right, next item, Alder Cole.
Okay, last item for discussion to Plan Commission. This is discussion regarding a planned unit development concept plan for review for a 10,565 square foot multi-tenant commercial building located at 409/411/415 East Verona Avenue. The applicant is proposing a PUD concept plan that would allow for the construction of a 1-story, 10,500 square foot multi-tenant commercial building located at 409, 411, and 415 East Verona Ave. The Plan Commission discussed the project on September 8th, 2020. Comments from the Plan Commission included support for shared parking at City Hall, but not at the fire station. Support that the motel apartment tenants will be able to move to Berkeley Road Apartments with their current rent being honored. Support for additional right-of-way dedication for East Verona Avenue to provide additional driving lanes with pedestrian and bike improvements. A desire for a formal pedestrian connection from Lincoln Street Apartments to this property. Questions regarding the timeline for this project. A desire to reuse or keep the gazebo. Disappointed with more franchises in the area and not local business. And a consensus that this is a gateway for the city, which should have a building that is tall, unique, and architecturally interesting, such as a 2-story building. The council is encouraged to provide feedback and recommendations to the applicant on the concept. No formal motion is required, as this is a conceptual review of the project.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this item? Alder Cronin.
I was a little unclear looking at the site plan, how the drive-through would work, because what I saw was patio seating on Lincoln and East Verona. So is there a way that we could look at that and someone could show me how that would work?
You want me to talk, Luke?
Yeah, Mr. Zaire.
Okay. So hopefully you can see the mouse here, but you'd enter from the driveway here on Lincoln, and hopefully you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Travel kind of along the back here, and then you would loop kind of up the side and loop the side of the building and then exit. So it would be on the western side of the building with kind of that loop, horseshoe.
I was looking at it and it's described in the upper right-hand corner as the drive-through. So that's where I was unclear on how that would work, if that makes sense.
Alder Cole.
I didn't really see much marked there for like pedestrian crossings from the parking area, like crossing where the drive-through is going to come through. I feel like that needs to be very clearly marked in a little safer if possible, because people are going to park over there and walk through the drive-through lane to get to the building.
Yeah, if I may, I had similar concerns about how the parking lot was laid out. I think we want to make it, because people are going to walk, whether it's from the apartment south or from areas north or west of the building, and we want to make it so it's obvious where they're supposed to go. I'm someone who has walked through a lot of strip mall parking lots, and it's not always a pleasant experience. Kind of got to swivel your head around so you can keep yourself safe. But it would be nice if this could be done in such a way that it's easy for people to just walk up to the door and get their coffee, donuts, or ice cream or whatever. I also kind of like the idea of a two-story building. It seems like people want to build one story or, 3 or 4. I kind of like the sort of middle and the old style downtown. Also, as noted at Plan Commission, it is a gateway to the city, and I know franchises tend to focus on specific kind of styles, but it would be nice if they could put something at least a little bit interesting headed into Verona's downtown. I love the idea of a shared driveway between them and the parking or the apartments, just because it'll be better for traffic, fewer conflicts with people walking. And finally, I would like to see, I think as was noted, a kind of connection path for people walking from the apartments, because people are going to walk regardless of whether there's a path. And so it would be nice if one was just there and could be maintained. But that was my feedback. But this item is still before the council. Other kinds of feedback. No, nothing. Alder Posey?
Overall, I like it. That's part of the reason why I haven't said a whole lot, is because I really like it. I do also like that it's 2-story and not all mixed.
Currently, I think it's 1 story. Am I correct, Mr. Sarah?
Okay.
I don't think it's fully decided yet.
Oh, okay.
I think, we've, as staff, have encouraged, especially that corner building, to be more of a 2-story, whether real or fake, some type of taller presence to it.
Facade.
Yes.
And I would just say that I would be in support of it staying at that lower level. I know we've seen a lot come along, whether it's Verona Ave or Main, that is the higher end, and it's starting to feel a little out of place and not feeling like our hometown so much anymore. So finding ways that we can build up those areas and bring in business while still having maybe lower buildings that feel like what's always been here and what we all know and love. So I would say I would want to see this go no higher than 2 stories, if at all possible.
Alder Kemp.
I apologize. I'm trying to recall what Alder Cole said with respect to what other potential businesses, particularly with respect to local businesses or smaller businesses. I am a little concerned about. I know that there's very little we can do to control what entities go into these new developments. However, I would like to see, if at all possible, maximizing that space with local businesses if we can do so. Has there been any discussion on that at this point?
Mr. Smith?
No, I mean, the only tenant that I'm aware of is Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin Robbins, 31 Flavors. Other than that, I know they're targeting some potential kind of smaller tenants in between there, and then looking at the corner of trying to attract potentially a restaurant of some type to the corner. But no, I'm not aware of any specific tenants being named. I think the comment from the Plan Commission, which I think came from Alderperson Cole, was just a desire to have, encouraging the developer to have some local, non-franchise type users in here, and encouraging the person to have some local businesses. But besides that one, I'm not aware of other tenants.
Alder Kemp, then Alder Cole.
Yeah. Yes, I too, if I could echo what Alder Cole said in that meeting, I would strongly encourage the developer to try and find non-franchise tenants. I know in just talking to constituents in Verona and how East Verona was built out in the previous decade, we've already got Culver's right across the street. We have Icky Sticky down the street, which is a great local ice cream shop. At one point we had Michael's. At another point we had a chocolate shop. So, you know, it's a little bit of a concern. I understand that we're somewhat limited in what we can do. I would just do my best to try and fill that out with locally owned businesses, if at all possible, as opposed to a strip mall full of franchises. That would be extremely disappointing. I'll get off my soapbox.
Alder Cole.
My comments are kind of similar to Alder Kemp's as far as you got Icky Sticky down the street, but also Two Blue and Sauzier within a few blocks as far as like coffee is concerned, and you know the ice cream there. I'm just worried about a little bit over saturation with certain types of products with franchises. But again, I'll get off my soapbox too, I guess.
Other feedback from the council? Alder Cronin.
I guess the only other concern I would have is, since I know that these two developments are tied very closely together, the concern of how would identifying potential tenants, retail tenants, affect the timeline of these two developments, because there'll be moving of people from the motel to the other building. I just want to make sure that that is taken under consideration, that this could potentially be a very tricky project to fill, especially if you're talking about wanting to attract a restaurant, because that's always a really tenuous business proposal. So that would be my biggest concern with this project.
Mr. Sayer, can you convey that to the applicant?
Yes, they're here tonight as well, so they've already heard it. But yes, I can do that.
We can tell them twice. Other feedback from the council? Alder Touche.
Thank you. You know, honestly, I'm in favor of any business going in, as much as I would agree that local businesses would be great. Having a couple friends try to get their businesses off the ground and going without kind of that notoriety you get with franchises, it's certainly a giant challenge. I think the rents in Verona are rather high, which make it additionally challenging. So I think we just need to continue encouraging businesses regardless of where they come from. Obviously, again, local is better, but I think there's some reality to, there needs to be some synergy in Verona for businesses. I mean, I agree, losing Michael's, I hated it because I loved going there. I loved the dog ice cream. Honestly, Culver's has been great, and they're a franchise, and they've been around for quite a while. But, you know, I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but we Verona residents struggle supporting businesses in Verona. We've watched a lot of them come and go, and we all just need to figure out how to stay local. So that's all. Thank you.
Other feedback from the council? Seeing no further hands. Mr. Sayer, did we cover all the topics on this? All right, good. Anything further from Plan Commission, Alder Cole?
That is all from Plan Commission. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to 9C, or I'm sorry, 9D, Public Works, Sewer, and Water Committee. Alder Touche.
Thank you. 1 second. Let me find the right page. Been sliding through the agenda here. All right. I'm making a motion to approve resolution R-20-035, amending relocation order and determination of necessity related to project ID 2018-108 East Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Project.
Motion by Alder Touche. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Ryan. Alder Touche.
As you guys have heard for many weeks now, the city's working on the replacement of the East Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor. In August 14th, 2014, the initial relocation order was approved by the Common Council under Resolution R-20-032. The amendment relocation order incorporates temporary limited easement with one property of interest as shown within the exhibits of the amended relocation order. The project requires that the city to acquire easements and easement interests from adjacent landowners. The resolution before us approves the overall easement needs, which is attached in the resolution, and allows our city staff to work on acquisition of all properties within the project limits. The resolution also confirms two important statutory steps. First, the resolution acts as the city's relocation order for the project. And second, the resolution confirms that the project is necessary for a public purpose. Both these steps are required for the city to acquire the property and property's interests by condemnation if that becomes necessary. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments on the motion? Seeing no hands. All those in favor of resolution number R-20-035, amending relocation order and determination of necessity related to project ID 2018-108, Eastside Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Project, say aye.
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 Opposed, no? Opposed, no? And that motion passes. Alder Touche.
Next up, item 9D2. I'm making a motion to approve project closeout and change order number 1 for project ID 2020-102, bituminous seal coat.
Motion by Alder Touche. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Alder Cronin, I believe. Alder Touche.
Farner Asphalt Sealers has successfully completed the 2020 seal coat project on a lot of streets in Verona, and I'm not going to name them all to save time. Change order number 1 is to rectify as-built quantities for the work required to complete the project. This will close the contract with Farner Asphalt Sealers, and final payment will be issued. The contract notes are as followed. The original value was $222,890. The change order number 1 was a reduction of $918.22, making the final contract value after incorporating this change to $221,971.78. Please note this is really a formality to kick off the warranty on the work that was done. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments on this motion? Seeing no hands. All those in favor of the project closeout and change order number 1 for project ID 2020-102, bituminous seal coat, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no? That motion passes. Anything further from Public Works?
Nothing else.
Excellent. We'll move on to item 10, old business, which is, we got one item under here, which is a discussion and possible action regarding potential development and use of public funds in the Verona Technology Park. Mr. Sayre, can you give us a brief overview in open session?
Thank you. Staff is working on a development project in the Verona Technology Park that requires the need for tax increment financing, TIF. The use of TIF is necessary for public roadway transportation improvements for development occurring in the technology park. Staff is requesting a closed session with the Common Council, and in that closed session, we would have City Attorney Brian Kleinmeyer as well.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions to go into closed session? Alder Cronin.
I will make a motion to go into closed session to discuss potential development and use of public funds in the Verona Technology Park. The Common Council may convene in closed session as authorized by Section 19.85(1)(e) of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the investing of public funds or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The Common Council may reconvene in open session and take action on the closed session item.
Motion by Alder Cronin. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Journey. This is, of course, a roll call vote. If the clerk would read the roll.
Alder Kemp.
Aye.
Alder Cole. Alder Cole,
Sorry. Aye.
Alder Posey,
Aye.
Alder Ricky,
Aye.
Alder Ryan,
Aye.
Alder Touche,
Aye.
Alder Cronin,
Aye.
Alder Journey.
All right, with that, we'll move into closed session after Mr. Sayer gives us a brief reminder. Everyone should have the email.
Once again, you log off of this. I sent a separate invite for the Zoom meeting, logged into the Zoom meeting, so completely log off of this, and when we get done with the closed session, you log back into this one. Got it?
Got it.
If
Sounds
not,
good.
ask me.
So we're missing Chad and who else are totally spacing.
Christine? No, she's here. I'm sorry.
Christine's up there. Everyone shifted, so now I'm.
I know.
Oh, wait, no.
We're just
There were 7. I just can't count. That's what it was.
It's missing
So we're missing Chad. We're just missing Chad. I mean, let's give him what, 10 seconds or?
He's the president. Do we give him 20 seconds?
Yeah, does he get a few? Does he get a few
Professor
extra?
rule?
Well, let me see if he's in the audience. I don't see him in the audience.
Give the guy a break. Let's get this going.
All right. If I don't think Chad will be sad to miss adjournment. We had a good discussion in closed session. No final decisions were made, but we expect to have updates once stuff starts happening. With that, we'll move on to item 11, which is adjournment. Motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Touche. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Cronin. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. And we are adjourned at 8:15 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.